This campaign will be about the future. This campaign will be about issues. Joe Biden has put America on the fast track to ruin and destruction, and we will ensure that he does not receive 4 more years. We had a tremendous period of time. We had a tremendous thing happening just 2.5 years ago. I used to say 4 years ago, then 3 years ago, then 2 years, and now it's all of a sudden it's catching. So 2.5 years, if you just take a look at what we did, where this country was greatest economy ever, largest tax cuts in the history of our country, largest regulation cuts in the history of our country, Space Force, right to try. We did so many things. Strongest border, by the way. How important is that? Strongest border in history. We built hundreds and hundreds of miles of wall. We got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers free of charge, no cost. And we had the greatest border in history and among the lowest years ever recorded for drugs. And now the drugs are literally 10 times more than they were just 2 years ago. What's happening to our country? The 2024 election is our one shot to save our country, and we need a leader who is ready to do that on day one. We need a fighter who can stand up to the left, who can stand up to the swamp, stand up to the media, stand up to the deep state. Am I allowed to say stand up to the rhinos, too? I think we can say that. I think we can say that. Stand up to the globalists and China and stand up for America, and that's what we do. We stand up for America, and that's why we had polls today come out, the best polls I think I've ever had, actually. And people are seeing, and they're liking us, but they're also not liking what's taking place in our country. To change the whole system, you need a president who can take on the whole system, and a president that can win. And we did great. Last time, we got 12 million more votes than we did the time before. Somebody interviewed me recently. What was the difference between 2020 and 2016? I said, the difference is we did much better in 2020. We did. Got many millions of more votes. But we got to be careful on election day, or as they call it now, election period, because these election days have gone into a long time. Another crazy thing that's happened. There's only one president who has ever challenged the entire establishment in Washington. And with your vote next year, we will do it again, and I will do it again. This will not be my campaign. This is going to be our campaign. I just left New Hampshire, and the relationship we have with that group of incredible patriots is unbelievable. Thousands and thousands of people coming from just a plane to the site, waving American flags, so proud of our country and so discouraged by what's happened. Together, we will complete the unfinished business of making America great again. You know, when they hit MAGA, oh, MAGA, 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 that means make America great again. We're trying to explain that to a couple of Democrats. They don't quite get it. Just as we did 2 years ago, we're going to stop cold, the invasion on our border. That's an invasion, our southern border. We went from the best to, I think, the worst in the world, Henry. I think it's the worst ever, because no third world country would allow that to happen. They'd be there with sticks and stones if they had to be. But nothing like that's happened. This is an invasion that nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I think the real number could be 15 million people, not 4 or 5 million people. They have no idea what the number is. And they're coming from prisons, and they're coming from mental institutions, and they're coming from a lot of bad places that it's going to cause us a lot of problems, and we have to get that straightened out. We have to get it straightened out fast, and we have to remove a lot of people very, very fast, because we can't have what they're sending. They're sending people that are killers, murderers. They're sending rapists, and they're sending, frankly, terrorists, or terrorists are coming on their own, and we can't allow this to happen. So the illegal border crossers are going to be sent straight back home, those bad ones especially, and they're going to go fast. You know, when we were doing this 2.5 years ago, we sent thousands of, you could call it MS-13, you could call it some of the gangs, the gang from hell. These are not nice people. And we sent them back home by the thousands, and they didn't want to take them. They said, no, we're not. And the Obama administration couldn't get them back. They said, sir, we can't get them back. They won't accept them. I said, how much money do we pay them? So we pay them $750 million a year. Tell them we're not paying them anything anymore. I got a call the next morning from the 3 presidents of those 3 particular countries. Sir, there must be a misunderstanding. We'd love to have them back. We'd love to have them back. You were there. You were. They would love to have them back. We'll take all the MS-13 you have, but please keep paying. So we sent them back, but we still didn't give them the money. But now they made up for it because they give far more than what we were doing, Henry. We're going to end the free reign of violent criminals in Democrat-run cities and keep dangerous repeat offenders locked up in jail where they belong. We're going to stop the left-wing radical racists and perverts who are trying to indoctrinate our youth. And we're going to get their Marxist hands off of our children. We're going to defeat the cult of gender ideology and reaffirm that God created two genders called men and women. We're not going to allow men to play in women's sports. And by so doing, you know what happens. We're going to save the dignity of women, and we're going to save women's sports itself. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We're going to bust up the censorship regime and bring back free speech again. We're going to find the deep state actors who have burrowed into government, fire them, and escort them from federal buildings, and it'll go very quickly. We're going to stop the appalling weaponization of our justice system. There's never been a justice system like this. It's all investigation, investigation. I've been going through it for 7 years. Oh, 7 years. We want his taxes. They get the taxes. That's the end of that. Nothing. They were very good. They said, he's very wealthy, but he didn't pay a lot of tax. But you know what we did? We created tremendous jobs because that incentivized us to pay and create tremendous amounts of jobs. And look, we have a country. It's all about incentive. You have to incentivize people, and they're taking the incentives away. We have to be very careful. But we have a weaponized justice system like this country has never seen before. The FBI went to Twitter, and they said the laptop is Russian misinformation. Think of it, Russian misinformation. And they said, just don't do anything. Don't say anything. This is just before the election. Then the election comes and goes, and they said, well, I guess we got that one wrong, right? They all got it wrong. It's a disgrace.